Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received. The translation reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? Hide my name. So my name is Tendai, not his real name. I am a 38-year-old man who is from Zim. I never imagined that this was what was going to happen to me. My father was a tobacco farmer, and right now I am sitting in a wheelchair because of what I did. My father left for me a very big plot of land. My father was a very hard-working man, but when I was still young, I hated working in the fields. To those that have been doing tobacco farming, they know that it is not easy. You have to work and you need to work. So my sister used to say that this one is going to finish us off as a family because of the way that I used to try to make some shortcuts when it will be time for me to go and attend the crops in the fields. I hated doing that. My sister was always saying that one day this one is going to be a ritualist because of his laziness, but I never thought that this was what I was going to end up doing. I was never the hard-working type. Whilst others were busy toiling in the fields, I always tried to look for shortcuts and easy ways to make money. When my father passed away, since I was the only boy in the family, that was when I tried to go into farming, into partnerships with people. People would pull out when they would see that I am nothing but a scammer. Like I was a scammer. I used to say that if I was born in a country where technology was really advanced, I was going to be a very big scammer because I kept on thinking of this little ideas on how to scam people. I lacked the discipline even after scamming people. If I had gotten the money, then I did not know what to do with the money. I'll just waste it. I did not have the dedication that was needed to succeed. My crops would often fail and I struggled to make ends meet whilst I was watching my neighbors as they were prospering in life. That was when I began to despise the life of poverty that I was living, and I was really desperate at that time. So there was this other man, an old man in our village. I approached him because he was such a very big farmer in our village, and I asked him how was it even possible for him to continue farming at such an advanced age in his life. He told me that he knew this very powerful traditional healer in Zambia who had been his best friend, and this man, he got to know him when the Zambians used to come to work in the mines in Zim and in the farms. He told me that he later got married to the sister of his friend, that man from Zambia, and they had two children. The woman then told him that it was time for her to return back to her country, so she wanted him to go with him to Zambia, but he refused because at that time the economy in Zim, it was much more powerful than in Zambia. So he said that it did not make any sense for him to leave his own country, so there was no need for him to go there. So he thought that she should just go alone, but they had been in communication after that. He said that he followed his wife and found out that the wife had gotten married. He spoke with his friend who was his brother-in-law, and the man told him that he was now a traditional healer and he wanted to give him a charm. This charm was going to create some short boys that will be working on his farm, growing and harvesting the tobacco whilst he will be sleeping. This was a good deal, he said. And that was when he said, don't you know that there are rumors in this village that I only do my farming from around 12 a.m. until 3 a.m. And those were the stories that we had when we were still growing up. Like we would hear this old man as he would be whistling when everyone would be fast asleep. He would take his cows and he would go and start plowing the fields like late at night. When everyone will be working the next day, you will be resting, sleeping, only to wake up at around 12 a.m. to go to work. So this was so fascinating for someone who had tried to go to Harare, and I had tried to be a petty thief criminal, but I had failed miserably. I was even too lazy to become a thief. Now back in the village, looking for an opportunity to make quick money. This was like the best advice that I had been given in this whole world. get some short boys that can work for you, so he said. So as I was sitting down, I then said that I need to do this. Me and this man, we then went to Zambia. When we went to Zambia, we arrived at that village where his brother-in-law was staying. Then the witch doctors told me that in order for me to secure these short boys, I was going to offer someone that was really close to me. So at his shrine, this witch doctor, he had a fertility god. This fertility god was inside this other mud hut where he used to do his consultation. When I looked at that fertility god, it was carved out of stone. It was a big fertility god, an idol, but there was something about that fertility god because it had a very big manhood, like the biggest manhood that I had ever seen. It was almost a meter. So I was told that I had to sacrifice one amongst my sisters who was going to be a spiritual wife to this fertility god, and in return, this fertility god was going to give me the short boys that would work for me for the rest of my life. The person that I would have sacrificed, the person will never be able to have any children and will remain unmarried for the rest of their life. The witch doctor promised me that once the sacrifice was made, then my fields, my tobacco would flourish, and this would mean that when I would go to the auction floors, then money will come flowing to me. The person that was close to me was my sister, whom I will call Rumbi. She was a very beautiful young woman, but in my greed, I saw her as the only thing that was standing in the way of me getting like really wealthy and rich. So I convinced her to go with me to Zambia because the healer had told me that she was needed. Her presence, her physical presence was needed before that fertility god. So I took her to Zambia. When I took her to Zambia, then she said, why did you bring me to this traditional healer? And she was really angry. She complained that I had lied to her, but all that was needed was for her to step her feet at that traditional healer's compound, and then the soil at the place where she had stepped her feet, it was taken. We then returned back to Zim, and when we returned back to Zim, I never checked on her, but because of what had happened and what she had seen in Zambia at that traditional healer's house, that was when she gave her life to Christ. And I did not even know that she was now a Christian, a prayerful one. I returned back to Zambia on my own because I had to finish these rituals that I had studied. The witch doctor and I, we prepared everything. Whilst we were busy preparing for the final sacrifice, me sacrificing Rumbi to that fertility god, that was when something happened. The witch doctor, it seemed as if he was busy fighting with another spirit that no one could see. Then there was a brilliant light. This was like a very brilliant, a bright light that just came out of nowhere. We were inside this other mud hut that was the consultation room, and we were all blinded by that bright light that fell from heaven, and the shrine was destroyed. Everything in his shrine was scattered. When this shrine was destroyed, that was when the healer got so angry at me. He cursed me, and he said that in my entire life I should never walk again for bringing this spirit that had destroyed his god, because as for that fertility god, it then fell down, and that big manhood, it was broken, and he said that I was the one that was responsible. So he cursed me, and he said that in your life you are never going to walk again, you are going to die as a crippled. So I returned back to Zim. The moment that I stepped my feet on the Zimbabwean soil, when I got off from that bus, that was when I felt that I could not feel my legs anymore. I started like not being able to control my toes anymore, until one day I was walking from this other place where I used to drink my alcohol. I then collapsed to the ground. At first, people who saw me thought that this man, he was just a drunkard, but I was unable to move, unable to do anything. My sisters came and they collected me, and I told them that I could not feel my legs anymore. We waited because we did not have any money. My other cousin brother, the one who was working in South Africa, he then sent some money so that I can be taken to a hospital. When I went to the hospital, when my sisters took me to the hospital, I was then told that my legs, they were rotting from the inside. How is it even possible that a human being that is still alive can be told that a part of their body is rotting from the inside? So I had to be amputated So I was amputated. I lost both of my legs, and right now I am living in a wheelchair. I am unable to walk. I have lost everything. And as for my sister, it is just that she is a true Christian. She eventually was told that at the church where she was going to, that I had tried to sacrifice her to a fertility god. I thought that she was going to abandon me, but right now she is with her husband in South Africa. She always sent some money for me to buy some groceries. If it was not for her, I was going to die of starvation. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear sister right there. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world. Yo.